Hey guys, welcome back to the second episode of the Tee Off, a channel where we discuss golf with golfers from around the world. I'm your host Ramses, and today we will talk to Jessica Lydia. I'm your host Ramses, and today we will talk to Jessica Lydia, who was a collegiate golfer at the University of Richmond, having represented the Indonesian National Team and played professionally thereafter. Welcome to the Tee Off, Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Um, let's start off with you telling us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So I was a college golfer. I graduated from the University of Richmond, that's in Virginia, and the school is a Division One program. So I went there with 100% scholarship. I graduated in 2016, so that's quite a while already. I studied finance, and now I'm an education consultant.
Okay. Uh, can you walk us through your journey? I believe you were part of the national team here in Indonesia before deciding to play college golf.
Sure. Yes, I was part of the national team. It was such an accomplishment, I think, for me myself, and also humbling, to be part of that team. I specifically was in the training for Sea Games, and I got to represent the country in a couple other international competitions in Asia, or for like ASEAN Games. Um, and I mean, it's an accomplishment for all athletes, I believe, especially if you're only a teenager. And in terms of how that turned into college golf, I gotta say it wasn't really planned. So I was just trying to get a lot of experience in playing as many tournaments internationally as possible. Um, then I did go to Junior World. Back then it was called Callaway Junior World in San Diego, California. I qualified to the local qualifiers here in Indonesia, and I went there. And I actually found out that apparently a lot of the players from all over the world that were participating, they were trying to get recruited to play college golf. So that was actually my first time learning about the opportunity. And I believe it was quite late. I think I was grade 10 going to 11. But it was literally the first time I heard it. So I didn't even like, okay, it's something that I wanted to pursue. I just heard of it. So
Right.
after I sort of got back, I asked around, and one of our seniors, Dea Mahendra, I think she was one of the very, very few players from Indonesia, especially on the lady side, that have been through the journey or are familiar with the journey. So I asked her, and then she told me more about it. And then I played another Junior World the next year. That's when I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna pursue this. So it was very late. I only started the process grade 11 going to 12, so it was an all or nothing opportunity for me. If I get recruited, I get recruited. If don't, I'm gonna stay, I guess, locally or somewhere. And then, yeah, after a couple of years in college, 4 years in college, I decided to turn professional. I
Mm.
was a professional for less than a year because I got injured actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's unfortunate, I think.
very
Um,
unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Looking back at the start of your career, when did you start playing golf and how did you get into it?
I started very late. Actually, I was one of the, I guess latecomers in the game. I was one of the underdogs, definitely. So I only started literally like picking up the club when I was 14. So that was quite late in the process. Previously, I was a tennis player. I trained under Yayuk Basuki, so it was quite competitive as well. Then my parents just decided to switch me up to golf because they felt like it's a longer term sport. So that's how I started, and I gotta say I hated it a lot, just because coming from tennis where it's like super high paced, you're playing with friends, it's quite fun, and you're all sweaty and just running around, and to golf where you're just trying to hit a ball, and it's obviously quite hard to do.
Yeah.
Um, so it was like a lot of forcing from my parents, I gotta say. Um, I think that's how I started, and I wasn't bad. I remember I think the first time I actually hit the range, the ball did fly. So I guess it also helped, my tennis background, and I was able to actually hit the ball, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But it did take a while. I think it took me about 1 year, 2 years by the time when I was like 16, or almost 16, when I actually really enjoyed the game. And I think mainly because I realized that golf is a very complicated sport. It's super tough because there are too many variables that can go right and can go wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's a huge mental game. It's kind of like, solving a really complicated puzzle. So I found it interesting, the game itself, and then I came to basically love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I think probably one of the triggers was, I lost in a match play to one of my friends, and I guess I was pushed after that, like, oh dang, it kind of sucks losing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, no one likes to lose, I think.
yes, yes.
Uh, I believe you were homeschooled before college. How was that experience, and what prompted you to leave school?
I think it's something that my parents especially have had in mind, especially when I was still playing tennis. Um, because I was studying in Penabur, BPK Penabur, and it's, to everyone's knowledge here in Indonesia, it's definitely the toughest, if not second toughest, high school or junior high, uh, because the curriculum is just super, super rigorous. It's like they're training everyone to be professors or something. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, basically, it was very hard for me to juggle just school, work, and anything else that I wanted to do outside of school. So the idea has always been there. And when I picked up golf, we realized that golf is a very time consuming sport, because around one round is like 4 hours, 5 hours, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So basically, there's no time to even squeeze in training and trying to get better, catch up, knowing that I was an underdog without having to sacrifice school hours. So that's when my parents decided, like, you know what, actually, we'll just um, get you to study on your own, basically homeschooling. And another reason was because my brother actually decided to take uh, the national the national examination that's usually only offered for grade 12 kids, and he took it when he was in grade 10, and he passed. So he actually skipped 11 and 12, and he went straight to university. So
wow, okay.
we were like, okay, I'm also gonna pursue that route, so we can just get done with school and focus on perhaps golf or other things. That was also the other reason why we were pursuing homeschooling. And in terms of the experience, I gotta say, it was very tough. It did feel a lot, or too much like I was just on holiday every single day, because obviously, coming from a very rigorous school background to all of a sudden homeschooled, it did feel like you have all the freedom in the world to do anything you want. It was hard. It was very hard to just be responsible and be independent on your own, remembering that you are not on holiday. You are supposedly still studying and still a student. But it
Yes,
was nice because definitely I got to put more hours in my sport, and I was able to catch up.
yeah. Sounds like it was all or nothing. It was like you
Yeah,
just,
correct, correct.
yeah.
Probably.
Uh, did you always know that you wanted to play seriously, or no? Or when did you realize you wanted to play seriously?
Um, I don't think I always knew that. Definitely, I think. I didn't know much, and as any other teenager, all you wanted is just whatever, like pleasing your parents, doing whatever they told you to do, study, doing what your friends are doing. All I knew is just, yeah, you got to do your best in things that you do, and then you got to get a good education and pretty much get a job. So for me, golf is one of those things that it was handed on my plate, and so I just have to put in a lot of effort to make sure that I appreciate the opportunity from my parents. I think that's how it started. And I just started becoming serious, obviously, after I found out of the opportunity for college golf, which is super late in the process. So I tried to squeeze in a lot of tournaments, a lot of trainings to really improve my scoring average. Um, so yeah, I think I realized it very late in the process, pretty much before college. And in college, obviously, I was serious all around just because it's a whole different level of competition. Everyone is pretty much their head is definitely on the game and they're super into it. So I think there it's already quite just going with the flow.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, like, obviously, I think since you got recruited for golf and you got a scholarship, you need to devote a lot more time and effort to be playing in their team, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And in a way, like they pay us to be there, right? So you have to
Yeah.
put in a lot of effort. So in a way, you have to be serious. It's kind of not. I mean, it's not a choice. It's expected of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you get selected to be a part of the Indonesian national team, and how was that experience?
I think I went to college in 2012. I think the training, it was 2011 then. It was the year before. How did I get selected? It was we had a training camp for Sea Games, so they were selecting players to be trained for Sea Games. And I finished well at one of the tournaments. I can't remember what tournament it was, but it was an Emeralda golf course, and it was an amateur level. And I believe I finished third or fourth. Um, it was quite a big tournament. That's why it was. I mean, I played pretty well. Um, so literally, I think after that tournament, I got called to start training with the team. Mm. And the experience was, I think, tremendous. The fact that I was able to have the opportunity to play with equally good players or even much better players than I was, and having been able to obviously train under great coaches. So it was a nice experience, definitely.
Mm, right. Uh, how was your college experience? I believe you were a nominee for Athlete of the Year award in your senior year and led your team to their first conference title ever.
Um, my college experience was actually really nice. I mean, I would say it's quite interesting because actually I transferred out from my first university. It was the University of Tulsa, and it's very competitive. It's a top 50 golf program in the nation. Um, and I transferred out because I didn't really get along with the coach. So I decided to pursue um, a different school and actually focus more as well on my study, knowing that it's obviously super important. Um, so I think that part made it interesting is because I had the experience to train under different coaches and go to two different schools. So like there were two adjustments, freshman and after I transferred, which is interesting. Um, other than that, it was obviously great because I got to play with different players from all over the world, mainly from Europe and the US, and couple from Korea and China, I believe. And obviously, they are playing at their highest level as well. They're great golfers. They're also
Right.
recruited.
Yeah.
A lot of them are also trying to become professional, or all of them are literally just pursuing their sport super seriously because they're trying to get a really good education in top programs.
Yeah.
So it was, I think the experience was super rewarding. Just the fact that I was able to play golf at the same time, focusing on my studies, without having to worry to sacrifice one over another. Like I guess we had to if we were to just stay in Indonesia, right, because of the education system. Um, so yeah, I think the fact that I was able to juggle both quite smoothly, that was a very nice thing. And meeting new people too, of course. I yeah, I was nominated Athlete of the Year. It was humbling, definitely. I mean, golf is an individual sport, but at the same time, in a college setting, it's actually a team sport because in
Mm,
the end, your score does matter. But uh, what makes a difference in terms of which school wins it or not, which school comes second or last place, is basically you have to add up your own score with your teammates. So the fact that that our team got to win our first conference title ever on the women's side during my senior year, that was a team effort. I just happened to play to shoot the lowest score throughout the rounds.
mm, wow.
Um, that's I guess that's how they say I led the team. I
Yeah.
think I was athlete of the year because I had a great season in general throughout my careers, especially after my surgery. I did have a surgery there during my college experience, during my college year, and the fact that I was actually still able to play golf and still be on top of the list and having to lead the team through multiple tournaments. I believe that's how I got the nomination, and probably just because of the leadership part, rather beyond just the result itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very nice to be nominated. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I would imagine it to be.
Yeah.
Uh, how was your transition from college golf to professional golf?
Um, I think the transition was quite interesting because professional golf was not exactly my plan, even when I was in college golf. I mean, obviously, when you were a senior, those thoughts or ideas or options are starting to come to your head and be laid out on the table, right? Okay, what am I going to do after I graduate? Um, and professional golf was definitely one of the options, something that my coach was pushing me and encouraging me to do, my college coach. She was telling me that she believes that I have good hands. So like I was good for my short game is good, and it's something that is really good definitely, and heading to the right direction in terms of professional. And me playing with injuries, I was still able to play great golf throughout my college career. So she was imagining, if your injury is done, like you fully recovered, then obviously it wouldn't even be a problem anymore. There's a shooting low scores. So I think my college coach was one of the main reason of why I was pursuing professional golf. Second was because when I had my wrist injury, which resulted into a surgery, and actually lost almost 1 year of college golf experience in terms of tournaments and practice because of that. Um, our like my coach, my teammates, even our athletic directors, they or even the doctors thought I'd never be able to play golf ever again. But I was able to. So I saw it as like, okay, I have this chance and opportunity. The fact that I was able to play golf and I'm able to play golf. So I decided to pursue it because the way I saw it is like, I mean, I don't want to regret it not having to pursue it or at least giving it a try. And
Yeah.
in terms of just getting a job or like working, I can sort of do it when I'm older, when I'm injured, or when the injury gets sort of worse. So the transition was actually taking a while. So after college golf, after graduation, I took quite some months off in recovery for my injury first, trying to make sure that I was actually okay to play, and I'm not just deciding it just because I didn't want to work, for example, or I just wanted to travel around. Um, and then I remember I played one amateur tournament, and also my dad said, if you're able to shoot under par round, then you're ready. If not, then maybe not. And actually, I was able to shoot under par rounds
Wow.
for I think 3 or 4 days tournaments, and I finished first in that tournament. And then the next month, I turned professional. And I think it was quite a change, definitely. Just having that title, as a professional golfer, the additional pressure is there because now it's not you're no longer playing for your team, you're no longer playing for someone, you're not just playing for a trophy or for a title, but you're actually trying to make a living. It's supposedly your career.
Mm,
So there's
yeah.
that extra pressure, which obviously I didn't really have even playing for a national team when I was an amateur or when I was a junior golfer. So I think that was probably the big difference, and the transition it was a lot of hustling, a lot of just encouraging myself, something that I was committing, and so I need to really push through and actually commit, treat it like it's an actual work. So if I'm practicing, then I'd have to practice from morning till afternoon, making sure I'm working not just long hours but productively, like efficiently. So I think that's probably the change of mindset that I really had to remember and implement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was rewarding because I get to travel a lot.
Mm. Sorry, I just needed a drink.
No
I'm a
worries.
bit dehydrated, I think. Um, yeah. Um, how has your schedule changed from before college to college golf to professional golf?
Before college, I think I was scrambling all over the place, trying to catch up with schoolwork, making sure obviously I was not failing anything, make sure my grades are still decently A's and B's, which is tough, right? Considering there are traffic and Indonesian curriculum is never the easiest.
Yeah.
We have long hours of just schools. Even when I was homeschooled, I still had to make sure that I put in the hours. In terms of golf itself, before college, it was tough because golf courses are not as easily accessible here. Uh, and a lot of courses are outside of Jakarta, so I had to travel like an hour one way to play the different courses. So a lot of time hours spent on the road. And I think in terms of the competition level itself, because golf was relatively a new sport, so we're just pretty much playing against the same people over and over. Um, and what I knew, which is based on what I probably have seen, which is pretty much the same people. So it's limited. Um, and in terms of college golf, it definitely has changed. It's more structured and it's more efficient because before I was only maybe able to play 2 hours. Sorry, not 2 hours. 2 times, 2 rounds maximum per week of golf. The rest are just probably just 1 hour, 2 hours max range session or um, just short game. Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
And then whereas in college golf, I was actually able to play I think 3 or 4 rounds even within a week, which is a lot of golf. And outside of that, obviously trained for 3 to 4 hours. So like even the training hours, the practice hours have really really increased throughout my college golf career, just because the platform is everything is super well established, right? The course is just next door. Even if you have to drive, it's super short drive. The gym is on campus. There's no traffic. Your school hours are more structured. It's just either 4 hours or 3 hours in the morning or in the afternoon. The rest you can basically spend time on your golf. For professional, because obviously there's no more school in the picture, mainly which is golf, and I was just trying to make myself be responsible and independent. So I treated as if I was working. So if I was committing, if I wanted to train this week all in the morning, then by 7 a.m. I have to be on the course, and I'll be back only at like 1 or 2 p.m. And so it was also structured, but I think for professional golf, because it's like I said, it's more like a career.
Like a
Yeah,
job.
yeah, correct. You have to treat it, I guess, more serious in a way. Like it is. This is something that you are actually doing every day.
Yeah. So, like, for example, in university, in comparison to before university, it's like all the resources are there, right? So it cuts
Yep.
down on the travel times. And yeah. Tell us about your experience in the professional golf circuit, countries you traveled to, and the tournaments you participated in.
Um, so I think it was interesting definitely. You know, I was only the third professional golfer back then from Indonesia. Um, well, technically the fourth, but you know, our friend passed away unfortunately last time.
Mm.
So I was technically the third one in that time. One was Agnes Retno, and she's mainly just a coaching professional. The other one is Dia Mahendra, and she was in the US, and there was me in Indonesia. So I was in Indonesia. I was the only one who's actually a traveling playing professional golfer on the women's side. So that was interesting because there is no circuit, there is no tournament at all in Indonesia other than the men's professional circuit. So if I were to play with the men's, I just have to play with from the same tee box, which I have not in Jakarta, but I have in other cities, and obviously it's hard. But for practice, I have done it. Um, but to solve that, you know, obviously to get my experience, and also get tournaments, and I had to travel. And mainly, I traveled to Philippines. I played under the ladies Philippines golf tournament. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Uh, the Ladies Philippines Golf Association. I think that's what it's called. So I traveled there at least once a month, if I'm not mistaken, and I would play one or two tournaments in the Philippines with other golfers that I actually have met throughout my junior and amateur careers. I think was my main go-to place just because they had, or are they're still having it right now. They had their tournaments super regularly, and because it's professional and they fortunately have a lot of sponsors, so you know the money is also pretty good. Outside of Philippines, I have traveled to China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. I think the biggest tournament that I participated in was the Hong Kong Ladies Open. It's quite prestigious because only the ranked players are able to play in that tournament, and I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity and obviously play. I think it's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tournaments in Asia under Asian Tour, um, which only happens once a year. So yeah, I was able to play against uh, yeah, one of I mean, some of the best players in Asia, and that was great.
Right. Yeah. Uh, has anyone been your source of inspiration or motivation across these years of playing golf?
Hmm. Huh. It's quite interesting.
I mean, like, if you don't
I
have,
think in terms of
yeah,
in terms of motivation, I
yeah,
just say probably just my parents.
yeah,
Probably just them. Yeah. I don't have like sort of a role model like, oh, I'm trying to be like him. Probably if so, Phil Mickelson. I
mm,
adore him quite a lot just because he's a really great short game player, but not exactly like my source of inspiration.
yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean. Uh,
Yeah.
did you have to make any sacrifices in order to get where you were today? And if so, can you elaborate a bit on those?
Definitely. There were a lot of sacrifices I had to make throughout my journey, not just professionally, but even when I was before I was even pursuing college golf, because I was homeschooled because of golf, right? So I mean that on its own, that's already a sacrifice because I
Yeah,
lost my social life. Definitely, coming from you started with your friends and just people to basically homeschooled and doing your own thing, which is golf. So I had little interactions with people, with friends in general. So I think that part growing up, I actually missed it. So I think that's the biggest sacrifice, the social life aspect when throughout my teenage years.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
for I think college golf, perhaps the experience itself. There are things that I was not able to do, or even if I wanted to, it's super limited chances or hours that I can spend on them in terms of like traveling for spring break or with my friends or just going here and there, travel, do different club activities or explore the different organizations on campus. I was not really able to do that because I was focusing on just mainly juggling, obviously playing college golf and then my academics. And then in terms of my time during doing professional golfing, because I had to travel a lot, I also didn't really have much of a social life because I was always all over the place,
Mm,
traveling here and there in different countries. When I was back home in Jakarta, it's mainly just like for a couple of days or for a week. I'd meet just very few people, but outside of that, I've always been on the road. So yeah, I think probably those were the biggest sacrifices. And probably on the academic side, I wish I had more time to explore the different academic interests. I studied business, but I didn't actually have much time to explore what I was good at, what I wanted to do. Because I wish I actually had not studied business. I wish I studied a different thing, but I didn't have that privilege of time or yeah, just I think the time to actually explore the different things because of my commitment with golf.
right. Uh, Finally, do you have any advice to Indonesian golfers or prospective golfers who intend on picking the sport up and potentially at a serious level?
I think for those that are only picking up the sports or trying to, I guess you're junior golfers and trying to get better. I'd say you gotta try to keep loving the game because a lot of times once people hit or kids hit 16, 17, they fall out of love and they just stop playing the sport. It's probably because you're burnt out or you put yourself in you put a lot of pressure on yourself and you stop loving the game. So I think just try to love the game, and in the end it's a game.
Yeah.
Even if you don't do well in the tournament, it's a game and there's always another opportunity, which is the beauty of golf anyway. There's always that what if moment even after your best rounds. So probably that, like golf requires a lot of patience, so just be patient with yourself if you are trying to get better. um and I'd say at the same time though, like set a goal in terms of why you are playing the sport. If you're playing it just for fun, then obviously that's fine. But if you want to pursue college golf, you want to pursue professional level eventually, then you got to put in more effort. The competitions out there are obviously huge and they're competing in a very high level. So I
Yeah.
think just don't take it for granted. Even if you're, let's say, the best in your age group, don't feel like you're a superstar. Don't feel like you're Tiger Woods, right? Because you might be shooting well, but in the end, there's always like just there are always better players out there, and just don't be satisfied until you can consistently hit even par or under par. I'd say that's that's the easiest way to see it. In terms of serious level, probably like the biggest thing that I've seen in junior golfers these days, a lot of them pursue homeschooling and not pursuing maybe college even because they want to just be a national team player, make money locally through the like being in national team, being in the pond team.
Yeah.
While that's great, I think just try to think beyond what's next, because you won't be a national team player for forever. What if injury hits you and all that? So I think just be wise in your decision making. Like I wouldn't even suggest maybe going homeschooling. Try to just stay in school and manage your time well. Obviously keep education in the picture, because what if injury hits, then you need the backup plan. You cannot, what if you can no longer play the sport? uh, in terms of serious level for professional, I would really suggest that you do not pursue it just because you don't want to study or because you're too lazy to work
Yeah.
or live a normal life where you actually have to go to school, get good grades, and eventually work like normal people and work hard to make a living. Don't do that because that's not a way out. Like being a professional golfer is not a way out. It's actually very tough, playing at a serious level, and obviously shooting at a very low score. So I think just try to be realistic about it, like where you are at your level, what are your scoring average before making any decision, and just try to always have a backup plan, which a lot of times it involves education. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank Jessica for coming onto our show and giving my viewers some insight on what it takes to be part of the national team, to play collegiate golf in the US and become a professional golfer. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Ramses.
Yeah.